the beginning. The winds are shifting, the puppets slave with razor blades and clay. These voices encased in old ales, fortunes failed. Summertime for the well designed, long lasting, everlasting. Crisis mapping, children dying, women crying. Ornaments for the saddle, driven anchors of the stories, ready doctrines. Three wishes of misfortune, mansions haunted. Embroidered quilts with wingless tips. These needles are pushed with precision to cause nausea drifts. My noose on a forbidden branch, prancing, guided by the aroma of seasoning. The moodless avenger chasing eternity rather than believing. Death in dishonor for a cup of sarcasm. Pay homage to paperback writers in Dublin. The sun sets with a word from the percussion. Anger in a love sent letter filled with words of encouragement. We decided to defy decisiveness with silent devices that lie within the writing, lighting the page beneath the fine print. And there resides the corner that keeps my time and light and hiding. Without perfect time, and I doubt you can ever find them. Behind every cobweb rests the recipe for a curtain call, and the first step toward the remedy speaks to a man that's heard it all. So words dissolve when they fall upon negative space in the place of ears, as books burn in open fields just beyond the range of my ears. But what echoes once will return again. We learn again and bleed free of the tourniquets. The surrogate will burn within till she learns to give birth again. And since the eye kills apples, we eat the seeds until we're barren. And now I'm wild again, beguiled again, a whimpering, simpering child again. Wild again, beguiled again, a whimpering, simpering child again. Wild again, beguiled again, a whimpering, simpering child again. Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I.
Bleeding and jaded Everglades, slain in a particle suit of armor and lay with invisible metal blades. Fat stab in a passion of purple waves, waged as big as the day, to summon a cleansing desolate age for solitary harmony, blessing recurring states that wither the creature. So features are led astray, a staircase never paved, but aligns his eyes independently wide to compromise. Pages trade in place and pillows lie on judgment to inevitably command the comfortable life. And I'm riled again, reviled again, a woman to herald my life again. I'm riled again, reviled again, a woman to herald my life again. I'm riled again, reviled again, a woman to herald my life again. Repose must commence.
Get it twisted. You're not a hero of mine. I'm not at all obliged to illustrate my formulae, demanding a vivid expanse of a damaging one-man display. See, earth formed first, and then came clay. Then so many mics and people were made, so wide up within, diminished cyclical A-list, and kiss on the summit. Infinite argument finds ownership. So many rights line up a last passage. You can chain link a homie. He raps like harassment. I'm a firm believer in the function of the day. If I didn't like Bobito, I'd probably like Sway. And I never paid a ton for a grand piece of vinyl, cause ain't nothing done that I can call my idol. So what if you live to spit swished up finishings, chip splinters skin deep with inappropriate handlings, bouncing off boards, cynical like champs, misguided anger management, hidden tracks become slants, and you can drop between your planks and reconstruct the surface. But God, He is a little worthless. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. Don't get it twisted, you're not a hero of mine.
With These fingers bent, I skipped past every sentence I resented for the lack of effort spent by the expendable friends I invented. And in the end the tires burn, so keep trucking toward the light. Your life like in your own mind, but bite-sized on the mic. And I bet you bit of chip, eyes folded over and closed. To make the most of a plot of land, I buried a hatchet in the back of your hand. I guess some wallets have squeaky hinges, so I grease the palms extended for shake. Acting like anchors attached to my ankles, I drop dead weight to balance equations. Their talent amounts to short change and can't escape the very art which they imitate. Slab by slab I laid the path to begin where their sidewalk ends. So these walls were wrecking bald and papered with prints which die laughing. Bodies straightened, summoning my design to realign non-work wasted.
I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. Don't get it twisted, you're not a hero of mine. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. I'm a firm believer in the spirit of the times. Don't get it twisted, you're not a hero of mine.
Shaped maze. It's a Tetris game, compete yourself sick with an knick-knack. Paperwork shift into a clean shave, bathe behind the pattern of days. I rate myself with naked comparison. I live in a triangle city, raping its barren women. Inner reasons, beliefs stuck in urbanity, stone walls. Arrested for my history of like sweat to sow the salt of sanity with strip malls. Outline revamping a parking lot unflawed to greet the applause of aisle set eyes, buying to save our lives, applying to the switch set of widows gone to compromise, losing religion to textile squares and lies. Similarity erects itself as we drywall our minds.
Architecture versus nature, hate the gate that negates your blindfolded interest. Design molds the sentence, find and hold repentance. Align yourself with the old descendants. Underwater leaf, mother-daughter belief. Others offer relief, flying saucers of reef. Funerals an open casket for you and your hopes, hoping the past fits in the inner lining of the rectangle. Your life is intertwining where the next man goes. A long redwood is just a strong deadwood, even if in your head you could. So the process, you will go from being a computer to several different forms of mosses. Travel from Sin City to Diego as nature unravels you from Sim City to Legos. From Legos to dust, there goes the trust. Air holes that thrust, scared souls to bust. As coal grows to rust, the goals glow the crust.
In a shiftless division of touch from fingertips, I yank weeds from the face of an inert earth, dangling listless from an endless string. A lattice, a time thread to a safety net, in labyrinths of white rabbits where canaries are carried as lanterns burning oxygen. Tomorrow's the opposite, building skyscrapers toward the cosmic arc. An awkward art, planning architecture as forests. Concrete seats flourish with windows, nourishing the symbols of a culture with cold phalanges scratching at the clammy landscape. A shovel's grip for a handshake, digging puddles of wishing wells. At the bottom of my stomach, the coins melt into a cracked bell, which holds my black bile acting as an inkwell. We soak up the remains as the gods banish those that are depraved. The regions where a vanishing kingdom can be seen to those who come to test their faith. Lie quietly and dig your grave, make no mistakes, for we stop the hands of those that misbehave. Thunderclaps make these serpents laugh, sketches map the path, the road to overcome our paths. An alchemist with his leather strap, sinking within the scenery, watching the land before him crack and crash. Devastation is the gift, the will to overcome resonates from within. Now take a step forward and bow before your kin. Devilish games, murderers are set in flames. Applause for men who seek fortune from the race. The marathon man must run in order to save his son at the sound of a gun.
Stage trading spaces with wishes of ambassadors for embarrassment. Repent nothing, represent nothing. The artist escape, drowned down a pipeline, attenuated an energy's plague. Look at me and my dimes, they melt away. A stomach ache, embroidering crafted distaste. We rap about waste with an art full of painted aches, where the yoke slides into someone else's gifted fate. So the detail gets steeped in nausea, but the brunt of meaning gets coughed up and tossed. It's a worldwide yearning that doesn't hear well. The pitch steered like a sore-eyed catcher with a head swell. Running a movement like a treadmill set to pleasure, with the rival acts as an advertisement, hiding its own worn leather.
We ponder each step through each misguided breath that exemplifies constant elevation and just simple-minded quests. As this universe extends itself in the end, secretly shelved, wept and kept through neglect, echoing help through broken sleep. We fly from high peaks where Saturn's suns may never reach, struck with eternal grief, nestled beneath fallen leaves, shadows just eaten by the sun, suffocating myself within the sand and blood. Within me resides just an endless desert of love.
Put forth the face, mask to everlast reality grasp. Soot forms with faith, fires burn from must relax. Put forth the face, mask to everlast reality grasp. Soot forms with faith, fires burn from must relax.
While time builds in size, realizing structure from silence, entropy collides with shelf space, leaving strings in its design. The means to reapply paint to bay window and faith within widow. Pillow below parachute and paper before pencil. Now blueprints can build movement, renewing age with used graves laid to remain congruent to the box in which they waste away. And to this day I know no human that would claim they could escape the very strings which attach us to the events that make up our fates.
made of metal and glass.
Metal and glass, built to outlast. This is our latest design at the forefront of open discussion. Emotion, percussion, a tug of the leash if you may. Jest and just play. Walk like a curse up on open roads, open air, hop, skipping 5-minute drive away, lucid and easy. It's clicking the channel, the judge with no panel. To alter opinion, sugar to vinegar, wine and good cheer to the hands of the ones atop. Name giver, witch granter, watch with the sleight of hand, guiding abide by the bib wearing biblical book pusher with the answer for sure. Why the hell not? This is a taste of sin, make amends, broken bones, promises, time and time promises, time and time pushing this puppet face model while living last place, living last. When teaching one to grow further, when teaching love and some murder, when teaching one becomes a question, one becomes a figure to be broken in the game of sticks and stones. When teaching one to grow further, when teaching love and some murder, when teaching one becomes a question, one becomes a figure to be broken in the game of sticks and stones.
Sticks and stones, sticks and stones, sticks and stones. Huddle the puddle with forces of cello. Structures are concrete but melt away thresholds. Formless ostensibly push away sellers. Aristocrats tractably throwing their elbows with paperless documents locked in a cellar. Media's omnious flocking of hellburn. Presages valueless, ratings are stellar. Locked in a closet, computing your effort. Boxing your armpits, fencing your troubles. Defensive and worthless as living a bubble. Sipping on by through a narrow tide. Bottomless guilt with a dead glass side. This is the westerly passage of time. This is the westerly passage of time. This is the westerly passage of time. This is the West.
And when the grain grows higher, watches the dark waves leap with greener fire than ever oceans hold. He follows ships, tasting the bitter spray upon his lips. For in his blood upstairs the salty ghost of one sailor's story.
I'm drowning, a bloody stain upon your forecast of a ruptured lung. All hail the wingless dove, burning in an infirmary where everything remains hopeless. The ziggurat stands alone, withered and broken, mixing emotions and feelings amidst the cadavers that hang on private streets molding. Who here dares to sketch us a distorted portrait? Confirmation of a conforming orphans despite the resilience of forces. Place the thief in charge of foreign policy. Global poverty, destruction of all colonies. Evil conspires and dictates the boundaries of your orthodoxies. Exercise your speech, read population deceased. Somehow we gasp for relief, just questioning our own belief. Watering trees with recklessness and ease. The smell of my tortured dream reaps the harvest of your unborn seed.
Magic elephant, carved in stone. Those soulful, beautiful eyes looking at me. Grand mother's eyes, real eyes.
O sol, as estrelas brancas, a lua. E os lágrimas que precisam.
Trapped in the mountain, reaching out for love.
Here starts our seared march beyond a cyclical art. With a whole punch I clip misquotes into the palms of a politician, reinventing any semblance to the images imprinted previously. There's a silence called scalpel arousal to the ear canal to shut them down. Before beating around the bush that warms the brain, now there's a bone to pick and holes to dig to fill with wigs and wishes. Incomplete sentences and cracked dishes, back to the grill again. The depths of the shards will depend on how much force with which they came apart. It's raining stars and idols. Speechwriters are drugged through the aisles and we sling rocks at the edifices on pedestals. Evolution is seminal, so we threw blind justice in a centerfold. It was all predictable but not preventable, shaking hands with a tentacle. Evolution is seminal, so we threw blind justice in a centerfold. It was all predictable but not preventable, shaking hands with a tentacle.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend.
We're leaving the visually impaired to trail a braille to follow suit, giving the revisions to live inside our walls and swallow truth that offers few avenues of escape, but to break chains and create change we all must take aim at the clock towers killing time. We're still in line building shrines under militant guidelines to tear fingers from any pressure, leaving appendages on the sidelines. And this leaves us at a juncture where the function of gravity's to stunt growth. So now we uncover the assumptions you cuddle close. Where the bookends meet is where these thieves learn to embellish with ease. A bucket of paint for each and every tormented day, cast out 1,000 shapes, intertwine my spine, redesigned with style. Sink beneath this inferior stage of denial. Let's wait a while, destroy our precious lives. For believing is much too easy. For this ceiling with reckless feelings, aiming for subsisting ceilings, sitting on pavements, bleeding and dreaming, welcoming in the evening, literally speaking, screaming, undeniably misleading. We'll take it away, immerse it with such a taste of the balance we create. We'll exasperate it here with a mere forsaken breath, melting away this unserviceable flesh, enlightenment settling within our nest. Learn to transgress and digress, for the sun shall forever continue to set in the west.
Dominance.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. I'm one, you must know that I'm a kind of a stray cat dismayed. Snap, damn, I'm a waste of your time. I ride with all my sorrows behind. Damn, I'm a lamb, yeah, I swallow my pride. You're for sure so pure, but I lost my way. A mistake, you're a fake. I need someone for my faith. I'm sold of this role. I can bet you're sick of my lure. I'm a fish, you're a wish. I dip from all of your lips. So kiss me in the sunset, and I promise not to tell. I have no understanding, and I don't believe in hell. Destruction all around, but my gown is full of gold. I'm a queen with a castle made of flowers for my world. We can sit and drink some wine on a blanket in the spring. Consider me Miss Muffet, I won't say anything. There's a lake where we can drink and see ourselves getting old. We can laugh till it hurts, but start clothing off of our molds. Let's melt away our frames, there's no place to call our own. Meet me in the country, I'll be sure to check you home.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend. Phase of lasting prominence.
Crumble the ground, build monuments.
The freeform world we comprehend.
they chant 1-1. Disaster strikes from the faintest star. Abandon all hope. Mercenaries on the mystic river learning to float. Amazing grace, dilute or pray. Godly interventions forgo one's faith. This bleeding, screaming, tantalizing evening. Caravan tales, purple haze. The majestic patiently waits. Junk on junkie with exceptional melodies. They swing from the rafters with intricate rhythm. The pulse remains concealed, carefully hidden. This longing for falling, one step away from giving up and sheltering in the haste. What a waste. They called me into such a delicate sculpture, buried in the field, left absorbing the rain.
See, one needs the rhythm, one, and one needs the words, one. See, one and one, not 1-1. That's why they chant 1-1. See, one needs the rhythm, one, and one needs the words, one. See, one and one, not 1-1. That's why they chant 1-1.
They say listen to the heartless, for they shall always continue to travel the farthest. As this world is spinning, dying as a breath is slowly beginning. Psychopaths has cultivated hatred of a city disintegrating, till every last weakened spirit hangs from the rafters. Smothered with laughter, we have 5 days to midnight, listening to the bearers of grief, obstructed by trees that remain hidden from these avenues of speech. Luxurious indeed, disastrous banquets where we separate ourselves in order to just mend these trends. I patiently await my appointment with death, right here up the ravine where the river gushes and bleeds, lays the remains of a dream already dead. Saviors scream for help, lay us down to sleep with no regrets, crying in vain, tried and slain, misguided and afraid, impatient and frail, lying in a puddle just pondering her name. And there is this place where my memories seem to escape, but there is no fear, for they always put me back the same.
See, one needs the rhythm, one, and one needs the words, one. See, one and one, not 1-1. That's why they chant 1-1. See, one needs the rhythm, one, and one needs the words, one. See, one and one, not 1-1. That's why they chant 1-1.
Is a place for dwelling underneath settling distress. Framed elevated distortion, breakaway space to undress. The pavement's unimpressed, it's been catching foot, a core portion of steps. Everybody's in assorted lanes, each thought to win their own whim. But instead the flash becomes vax with convex collectives, compressing intense thought to swell, fall at once like leadness. Effervescent breath becomes reflexive gassed incorrectness, letting nothing to match protection but a cynicism perfected. Expending energy is best when you break your own brake pedals, utilizing tenderness. Expending energy is best when you break your own brake pedals, utilizing tenderness.
Building with weight, shaping my coat of arms from the amputated reach of my dreams. It's a blue and green world, pearl my wonder and double dutch jump the rope from which I fate dug me deep. I know motion, my chair for sleeping comfortably. Ground to cloud, static my smile, the ground quiet like satellite delay or a bullet on stray. I stay striking through living rooms with my hot air balloon mind state, straining to stay in plain sight. I was strange, but all the world is stage fright, and these chains will remain tight, knitting a prison of these lids been permanently closed. One would face the struggles alone, but try to overcome and embrace the break from the distant song where the warrior dances confronting the storm. We witnessed that burning tree while the villagers sleep and the children scream, searching for life within a harvested seed, reaping the benefits of my ailing reach. My innocence was carved through hate and defeat, molding the blueprint of your cosmic leaf. Please accept this broken plea for peace, dealing with hardships of the morbid sea. I'm hungry, unable to speak, watching how they take away my freedom of speech. Now I'm walking on a bed of nails, bearing dirty, pretty things as they break. I'm bleeding on an empty street, listening to hearts be little with grief. We were all once born free, but now we move with an isolated dream. We were all once born free, but now we move with an isolated dream.
Society for crafting pleasing without a reason. Seasoned beggars bleeding, needing an escape plan for pain. Got needles to travel a sequence in an obstacle so that bends out the light of a general lens. They comprehend the treason. Mind control society for starving pleasing without a reason. Heartless oriented heathens without a doctrine of why they're breathing. Strapped and generated achievements on a paper, oppressive pretense. This was my kid brother, the next generation of beatniks. Fountain that ain't gonna be them, a catching a foot in their mouth while trying to believe it. Leaning on their meaning, topping on shadows of their defense. Pulling out their crutches because everything becomes nothingness. Everything becomes nothingness, nothingness. Took a cool dip in a slow water to dissolve poor sheltered snakeskin. Hit a political feat when I played no trophy atrophied outpost. With a burning stench of toxic triumph, it up and desiccated for the fat and giant brain. I unhinged the hollow light, commensurate with expensive nakedness. Like an island I resurrected from verdant waters, unprotected with somber flight horses. Of courses, always knowing unicycles unite from pirates. To tempt maidens backwards eyelids, the one-track minds to stave off recess. Vested interest in treasure tests of collective consciousness. Meditation for mediation, meditation for mediation. One-track minds can't stand the patience. Multitasking like crashing train bits, cracking frames and skeleton lids. Mind control society for crafting pleasing without a reason. Outbends that shell optical in sequence. A travel to needles got the treason. Comprehend a lens of a general light.
Subjected to the shock of being cracked from their candy shells. From the inside they drizzle, burnt at the lips, shredded against the passage of the innards, molten and swollen, waterlogged and slow jogging with a nodding noggin. The outer half flaps, clipped wing scab, clapping the wind like a tide, looking alright when it's lifeless, ugly when smiling, and he climaxed while dying. The pose held until it melted, the glasses fogged, and beer mugs began to sweat, and the insects crept all caught in little Orphan Stanley's butterfly net.
Roger, copy. Altitude 4200. Giving your go for landing, over. Visibility, as we said before, not too great. Come in. Planet
The pile, the fire's Bible, the sun stand and burn a shadow. The fat man's eating hand watering plants, counting calories. And I'm turning 2 meals a day, turning tumbleweeds as waste. I can draw watermelons as fast as eggs, reshaping pill from pituitary. On a Polaroid roll a Pepto binge. Fen twist in my toilet spin, and I'm swimming through glass again, flat champagne against fin. I'm fenced into a finished benchmark, etching in the fit mark diagonally to tally each departure to find that we embark upon the tour of a stranger's hand. The fingerprint maze to change lanes without a clutch, and wander the walls like a raven chick with a mouth full of lightning bugs.
Andre the Giant, Robot, Karate Kid, Rockboy, George Michael, Jordan, Knight Rider, Wizard of Ozzy Osbourne, and pop culture, Rockopolis, Michael J. Fox, Snickers, Mr. T, Mickey Mouse, Macintosh, Sour Apple. I've always wanted to win an Oscar, Mayer, De La, Georgetown, Hoya, Pepsi, Pokemon, Coke, is it Slinky, Big League, True, Rubik's Cube, Razor, Scooter, James Taylor, Mike Tyson, Chuck Taylor, Steve Tyler, Tylenol. Coolio's hair, Alf, Bon Jovi, Cher, Rambo, Adam Sandler, Colonel Sanders, Eddie Murphy, Popeye the Sailor, Macaulay Culkin, Small Wonder, Ronald McDonald.
So what if commercial signal detection is just a masked intention? Just a tele-friend mechanism to provide a ride and false redemption? Ask NASA for a panty inspection. You can't manhandle or sack with a great black hole. We can move our foil from the west wing. Reynolds could save us, but you can't save everything. So I rely on my elbows near the billboard, head to pieces, dissolving into a Hasbro pillow. I've agreed to stroke others' lives as an alibi for spite. Parkinsonian as the dopamine is a drug in a brain body batterer. Tape breaks a chance for lame stick limbo. Gravity dash to the limbless vendor in the track house for a fresh made Dorito. Lassoing control with the licorice rope into a scoped out Cheerio. Orbiting predatory muster from a seed of bonded cash. It's built of pressed stash, stained with ass. Unwrapping the tags around the gown of fences, exposing the made-up name advertisements.
Welcome to my playground where I teach corporate America slang. Voices hung in limbo as a floorboard scrapped and the doorbell rang. My foot won't fit into a leather boot. My smile wrapped in toilet paper and tossed aside like sideshow clues. Give me a taste of clay so I can compose your house of complaints. Mapping your high school walls with Pop-Tarts and a stick of glue. Munching on camel soup, drinking pineapple juice. Star shoes, Betty Crocker's muse. Are you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Boom bap, cite your program of choice. There's lots of fun, there's lots of love, there's lots of toys. There's something here for every underprivileged girl or boy. Wiping the sweat from my brow with a finger to the sun. Running in circles, poking children with popsicles for fun. A businessman with absolutely no plan, but a very swift hand. I enjoy building castles in the sand. The inventor of the zap gun, zap you in the head, leave you for dead with a comfort resourcefulness in yourself. dead remnant, clipped from my mother, cut from my
design, just as dead, a stone cupid pissing water for a fountain, carving at the delicate, turning aquariums on their tops. I fostered the awkward falling at the uprooting of my sleep. Deep it seems, I paddled for shallow streams of jeans and tear tracks in the name of rainwater and my stained collared shirts. I'm bagging meals for travel, then settling into sheets in third-tier swings. The undead is depressing, my stepping stone home, sifting through these screens and making love over the phone, lying nude on a pile of dirty clothes. Oh, to skip one wish from a stone, hand sewn consciously from the unknown.
Scatter these remains, these memoirs of a time well spent. An angel with a locket and a wish, watching children jumping off of the burning bridge. My ego is twisted and torn, burying my thoughts in a casket that rides slowly as people sing along. I'm humble with a smile. These pages continue to turn, so I read out aloud with every sentence. Careful never to miss those spaces neglected between the lines. I'm selling rotten apples on the corner for a dime. A tree with a golden limb, a candle that extinguishes the relapses of statues we applaud with high regard. A seminar for these fallen stars. Hollow earth, I built my stairway in the rain with my umbrella and a slab of dirt.
I drove it to muster up the waste, blown toward that small space where my moxie meets the mustard tip branches broken against the skyline. That's the frame, my honeycomb room and board. This heart is the hub, hunkering under the ruptured sun. Splash non-sparingly, my autumn stinks of paper and pulls me back to these charts. Chessboards and factored parts, pink at the fault lines with serrated scars. So now hallways seem dreamt, folded against my bills, pocketed. Shelf structures I see as ladders, therefore these waters rise with confidence. But buoyancy becomes a buzzword against the currents of the absurd lurkings beneath the surface.
And our minds were tortured and cursed, ridiculed and burnt, locked up in a fortress to never see the light of day. Hence the agony and pain portrayed within these illustrations of wishing wells. Welcome to the dollhouse where secrets are kept. My fortune was whispered and felt in a garden filled with purple seashells. And this empty body lies hollow and weak, screaming inside with little to speak. A memory can burn a fact so deep it tranquilizes our souls, awakes us from sleep. These bars of structure have finally set us free.